There comes a moment, quiet yet unmistakable, when the soul outgrows the space it once called home. A shift occurs, not loud, not announced with fanfare, but woven into the fabric of your being like the turning of the tide. You have stepped beyond where you once stood, and the universe responds in kind. When you level up, the world does not always applaud. Sometimes it withdraws. The familiar may fade, the voices may hush, and what once fits so perfectly now feels foreign. But do not be deceived. This is not loss. This is transformation. The silence is not an absence, but a reordering. The resistance not an obstacle, but a refining. For every ascent there is a shedding. For every rising, a recalibration. The road ahead will reveal 5 truths, patterns stitched into the sacred rhythm of elevation. And when you see them, you will know you are not lost, you are becoming. There comes a time in life when the familiar sounds begin to fade, the voices that once surrounded you, the chatter that filled the air, the affirmations you used to depend on. It all grows quiet, and for a moment you wonder if something has gone wrong. You look around, searching for the noise, for the comfort of recognition, for the warmth of certainty, but instead you find silence. And it is deep. It is in this silence that many grow restless. They mistake it for abandonment. They think, maybe I've taken a wrong turn. Maybe I've stepped too far beyond what is known, too far beyond what is safe. But hear me now. This silence is not a void. It is not emptiness. It is a sacred hush before the next great movement of your life. It is the space where old things dissolve and new things are made ready. Think of the seed buried beneath the earth. It does not sprout in the noise. It does not push through the soil in the midst of fanfare. No, it breaks open in stillness. The roots stretch downward before the stem ever reaches for the sky. And in that quiet, unseen place, something miraculous is happening. But to the untrained eye, it looks like nothing at all. So it is with you. When you begin to rise, when your spirit outgrows the place it once called home, do not be surprised when the noise diminishes. The people who once called your name so often may fall silent. The invitations may slow. The familiar rhythms may shift, and the question will come, why does it feel like the world is pulling away? But the world is not pulling away, it is making room. Because the next chapter of your life cannot be written in the language of the last one. The next version of you cannot be shaped by the voices that only knew the old. So the silence comes not as a punishment, but as preparation. You see, when you level up, you begin to hear a different frequency. The things that once entertained you no longer satisfy. The conversations that once engaged you no longer resonate. The desires that once pulled at you lose their grip. It is not that you are losing yourself. It is that you are shedding the weight of what no longer belongs to you. And in this space, you must choose. Some will panic and try to fill the silence. They will chase after the voices that have grown distant, desperate to hold on to what is slipping away. But those who are wise will stand still. They will recognize the silence for what it is, a divine invitation, an invitation to listen, to be still, to let go, because in that silence something else begins to stir, a whisper, a nudge, a knowing. It will not shout at you, it will not force itself upon you, it will simply wait, steady and unwavering, until you are quiet enough to hear. And when you do, when you finally hear it, you will realize that the silence was never empty at all. It was full of wisdom, full of guidance, full of the voice that has been leading you all along. So do not fear the silence. Do not fight it. Do not rush to fill it. Let it do its work, for in the stillness the seed begins to break open, and what comes next is life itself. There is a moment in every journey when the past reaches for you. It does not do so with chains or force, but with familiarity, with the weight of what was, with the comfort of what you have always known. Just when you think you have stepped into something new, just when you have begun to rise, you feel it, a tug, a pull, a whisper that says, "Are you sure?" You see, when you begin to level up, when you start to walk in a higher calling, everything that wants to find you will try to hold on, not because it is meant to stay, but because it has been a part of you for so long. Old habits, old mindsets, old relationships, they will press upon you, not because they are stronger than your future, but because they are afraid of being left behind. And this is where many falter. They mistake the weight of the old for a sign to turn back. They think, if this were meant to be, wouldn't it be easier? They assume that because they feel resistance, they must have taken a wrong step. But listen to me, resistance is not a warning, it is a confirmation. The weight you feel is not there to stop you, it is there to strengthen you. Think of an eagle breaking free from the nest. The twigs and branches that once provided safety now feel like a prison. The nest, built so carefully for protection, now becomes a barrier to flight. And when that moment comes, when the eagle stands at the edge, there is only one way forward. It cannot take the nest with it. It cannot hold on to both the past and the sky. It must choose. And so must you. Some will try to carry both. They will attempt to walk into their new season while clinging to the things that were only meant for the last one. But it will not work. You cannot fly while holding on to what was. You cannot walk through an open door while gripping the handle of a closed one. You cannot step into your calling while dragging the weight of your comfort. So when the past presses upon you, when the old patterns call your name, you must recognize them for what they are. They are not your future. They are not your promise. They are simply echoes of where you have been, asking if you will stay the same. And if you listen closely, if you quiet your heart long enough to hear the truth, you will realize something. What you are afraid of losing was never meant to stay. What you fear letting go of was only ever a stepping stone, never the destination. This is why so many never rise, not because they lack the ability, not because they lack the calling, but because they refuse to release what is no longer theirs. They hold on to relationships that have run their course. They cling to mindsets that no longer serve them. They grip onto an identity that no longer fits who they are becoming, and in doing so, they trade their wings for weights. But if you will release the old, if you will let go of what no longer belongs to you, something extraordinary will happen. The weight will lift. The struggle will shift, and suddenly what once felt impossible will become inevitable, because you were never meant to stay in the nest. You were never meant to be weighed down by the past. You were always meant to fly. There is something strange that happens when you begin to grow. You would think the road would clear, that the path would smooth itself before you, that the winds would shift in your favor, but instead challenges arise. The very moment you step forward, something pushes back. You thought this would be the season of breakthroughs, yet trials seem to multiply. The door you were certain would open remains shut. The people you expected to walk with you begin to drift away. The journey you thought would be easier feels heavier than ever, and you wonder, did I make a mistake? Did I mishear the call? But listen to me. The obstacles before you are not signs that you have gone the wrong way. They are proof that you are on the right path. When you begin to level up, trials do not disappear, they transform. They are no longer roadblocks, they are teachers, and they have come to prepare you. Think about the refining of gold. It does not become pure by being left alone. It is put into the fire. It is heated until the impurities rise to the surface, until everything that does not belong is burned away. The fire is not a punishment. It is a process. The heat is not there to destroy. It is there to refine. And when it is over, the gold shines brighter than before. So it is with you. You see, the trials that come your way are not there to break you down. They are there to build you up. Every challenge carries a lesson. Every hardship holds a hidden gift. But most people miss it. They are too focused on escaping the fire to realize what it is producing in them. They pray for the trial to end before it has completed its work. But if you rush the process, you forfeit the growth. If you avoid the hardship, you remain the same. The truth is, every great calling comes with great refining. You cannot step into new levels with old strength. You must be stretched, strengthened, and sharpened. And this does not happen in comfort, it happens in challenge. Think about the caterpillar. It does not become a butterfly by remaining as it is. It must enter the cocoon, that dark and pressing place where everything familiar dissolves. And in that struggle, in that in-between space where nothing looks certain, something unseen is taking shape. When the time comes for it to emerge, even then the struggle is not over. It must fight its way out of the cocoon, pushing, pressing, breaking through. And though it looks painful, though it seems unfair, that struggle is what gives its wings strength to fly. If you are in a season of trials, if you feel the weight of resistance, do not despise it. Do not curse the process. Instead, ask, what is this teaching me? How is this preparing me? What strength is being built in me that I will need for where I am going? Because the struggle is not random, it is not meaningless, it is a sacred preparation. And if you endure, if you do not give up, if you press through the resistance, you will find that the very thing you thought would break you was the thing that made you. You are not being punished, you are being prepared. Something happens when you begin to change. You wake up one day and the world does not seem the same. The places that once felt like home feel distant. The conversations that once excited you now leave you empty. The people you have known for years seem unfamiliar, and you wonder, has the world shifted or have I? You see, when you step into a new level, the world around you begins to respond. It is not because life is cruel, not because something has gone wrong, but because the external always mirrors the internal. As you change, everything connected to you must also adjust. Some things will rise with you, others will fall away. Some doors will swing wide open, others will shut without warning. And at first it may feel unsettling. You may find yourself standing in front of doors that were once open, only to see them locked. You may knock, waiting for a response, but none will come. And if you are not careful, you will mistake this for rejection. You will think, maybe I did something wrong. Maybe I should shrink back. Maybe I should return to what was familiar. But hear me now, closed doors are not punishments, they are directions. They are not endings, they are instructions. They are divine signals guiding you to where you are meant to be. Think about a river. When it flows freely, it moves with ease. But when it encounters an obstacle, a rock, a fallen tree, it does not stop. It does not turn back. It simply finds another way. It shifts. It adjusts. It carves out a new path. And in time, what once seemed like a barrier becomes part of the journey itself. So it is with your life. When one door closes, another opens. But you will never see it if your eyes remain fixed on what is behind you. You must be willing to turn, to shift, to trust that the same force that led you this far is leading you still. And it is not just doors that change, it is people too. Some who walked with you in one season will not walk with you in the next. Some who once celebrated you may no longer understand you, and it is painful because you thought they would always be there, you thought they were part of the whole story, but they were only part of a chapter, and that is okay, because every story has characters that come and go. Some are there for the opening pages, some for the middle, and some will stay until the very end, but you cannot force someone to remain in a chapter they were never meant to finish with you. When you level up, life will rearrange itself to match who you are becoming, and if you trust the process, if you do not fight what is leaving but embrace what is coming, you will find that the changes were never against you. They were always for you, because what is meant for you will always find you, and what is not meant for you will always fade away. There will come a moment in your journey when the noise fades, the familiar shifts, and you are left with nothing but a quiet knowing deep within you. It will not come with a shout or a grand announcement. It will not arrive with flashing lights or a dramatic sign from the heavens. No, it will come as a whisper, soft, steady, undeniable. And when it does, you will have a choice. You see, when you level up, when you step beyond where you have been, something remarkable happens. Destiny begins to call your name, not in the way the world calls, loud, demanding, impossible to ignore, but in the way that only the divine can. A whisper in the stillness, a nudge in your spirit, a pull towards something greater than yourself. But here's the thing, many people never hear it. Not because it isn't speaking, but because they are too busy searching for something louder. They expect the call of purpose to arrive with certainty, with clarity, with all the answers laid out before them. But that is not how the great unfolding works. It does not reveal itself all at once. It does not hand you a map with every turn clearly marked. It simply whispers, "Come." And this is where many hesitate. They feel it, they sense it, but they question it. They want guarantees. They want to see the full picture before they take the first step. But destiny does not work that way. It requires faith, it requires trust, it requires you to step out, not knowing what is ahead, but knowing that something within you is calling you forward. Think of a lantern in the night. It does not light the whole road at once. It only illuminates the next step. And then when you take that step, the next part of the path becomes clear. That is how purpose unfolds. Not with certainty from the beginning, but with faith in the process. And yet, some will ignore the whisper. They will feel the pull towards something greater, but they will stay where they are, clinging to comfort, clinging to what is known. They will convince themselves they are not ready, that they need more time, that they need more signs, and so they wait. And they wait, and they wait until one day the whisper is no longer there. Not because it has abandoned them, not because it has been taken away, but because they have drowned it out with fear, with doubt, with distractions. But those who listen, those who follow the whisper, even when it makes no sense, even when the road ahead is uncertain, those are the ones who find what they were created for, because destiny does not call the qualified. It qualifies the called. It does not wait for you to feel ready. It does not wait for you to have all the answers. It simply waits for you to trust. And when you do, when you step forward, even with trembling hands, even with an unsure heart, you will find that everything you were searching for was always waiting on the other side of faith. The whisper will not chase you, but if you follow it, it will change everything. There comes a point in every journey when you realize that you are no longer who you used to be. You look in the mirror and something has shifted. The things that once defined you no longer fit. The fears that once held you back no longer have the same power. The opinions that once shaped your choices have faded into the background. You are not the same, and you know it. But here's what many don't tell you. Growth is not just about stepping into something new. It is also about standing firm in it. Because when you level up, when you begin to walk in the fullness of who you were created to be, you will be tested. Not in the way you were before, not with the same struggles that once tripped you up, but with something more subtle, more deceptive. It will not come as an obvious temptation. It will not come as a clear attack. No, it will come as an invitation to shrink, to second guess, to soften your light just enough to make others comfortable. And if you are not careful, you will mistake this test for humility. You will think that playing small is wisdom, that holding back is kindness, that dimming your light is the right thing to do. But listen to me. When you have been given a light, it is not meant to be hidden. It is not meant to be quieted. It is meant to shine. Think of a city on a hill. It does not apologize for being seen. It does not try to blend into the darkness. It stands unshaken, unmovable, a beacon for all who need direction. That is what you are meant to be. But there will be moments when people question you, when they whisper that you have changed, when they remind you of who you used to be, and they will not always say it with malice. Sometimes they will say it with love. Sometimes they will say it because they miss the version of you that made sense to them. And this is where many falter. They begin to doubt. They begin to wonder, am I being too much? Am I stepping too far? Am I asking for more than I should? And before they know it, they have talked themselves out of the very thing they were called to do. But the truth is, you cannot go back. You cannot unsee what you have seen. You cannot unknow what has been revealed to you. You cannot return to a smaller version of yourself just because it makes others more comfortable. And you were never meant to. Because when you level up, you are not just changing for yourself. You are changing for those who are watching you, those who are waiting to see if it is possible, those who need the courage to step into their own becoming. And if you shrink, they will shrink. If you hold back, they will hold back. If you dim your light, they will believe that they must do the same. But if you stand, if you step fully into who you were created to be, unafraid, unapologetic, you will give them permission to do the same. So do not shrink, do not soften, do not apologize for the growth that was given to you by design. Stand firm, stand tall, shine, because a light is never placed under a cover. It is placed where it can be seen. And you, my friend, were meant to be seen.